History is often told as a grand chronicle of kings, warlords, and male conquerors. For centuries, the narrative of human civilization has been dominated by patriarchal societies, where power was viewed as the absolute domain of men. But if we look closely at the turning points of the ancient world, a different and far more fascinating truth emerges. Beneath the surface of these ancient texts, amidst the rise and fall of the greatest empires the world has ever seen, stood women of extraordinary intellect, boundless ambition, and unparalleled strategic brilliance. These were not just figures operating in the shadows. They were the absolute rulers of their domains. They commanded vast armies, engineered monumental architectural wonders, reformed economies, and bent the course of human events to their will. Today, we are going to travel back through the sands of time to explore the lives of 5 monumental figures. These are the queens, the pharaohs, and empresses who shattered the conventions of their time. This is the definitive list of the top 5 most powerful women of ancient empires. The visual recreations in this documentary utilize digital tools for illustrative purposes, but all historical facts, scripts, and research are strictly human verified and based on authentic archives. Number 5. Zenobia, the warrior queen of the East. Our journey begins in the 3rd century, during a period of immense turmoil known as the crisis of the Roman Empire. Rome, the undisputed master of the Mediterranean, was fracturing under the weight of internal strife and external pressures. From this chaos emerged the dazzling oasis city of Palmyra, located in modern-day Syria. And at the helm of this wealthy trading hub was Queen Zenobia. Following the sudden passing of her husband, Odeionathus, in the year 267, Zenobia became the regent for her young son. But Zenobia was not content with merely holding the throne. She envisioned an empire of her own. Highly educated, fiercely intelligent, and fluent in multiple languages, she was renowned for riding into battle alongside her commanders, enduring the same harsh conditions as her soldiers. Recognizing the weakness of Rome, Zenobia launched a stunningly bold military campaign. Within a few short years, her forces swept through the Near East. She annexed the wealthy province of Egypt, securing the vital grain supply that Rome desperately relied upon. She expanded her territories into Anatolia, creating the vast, independent Palmyrene Empire. For a fleeting, glorious moment, this Queen of the East stood as an equal rival to the mighty Roman Empire. She established a court of renowned scholars and philosophers, turning Palmyra into a beacon of culture and intellectual freedom. However, her spectacular rise eventually provoked the wrath of the Roman Emperor Aurelian. A seasoned and relentless military commander, Aurelian marched his legions eastward to reclaim the lost territories. The resulting clash of empires was monumental. Despite her brilliant tactical defenses, Zenobia's forces were eventually outmaneuvered. Historical legends suggest that she was taken to Rome, paraded through the streets bound in chains of pure gold. Yet, even in defeat, her legacy remained untouched. Zenobia proved that a brilliant and determined ruler, regardless of gender, could rise from a desert oasis to challenge the greatest superpower of the ancient world. Number 4. Boudica, the defiant heart of Britannia. We move now from the sun-baked deserts of the East to the misty, untamed forests of ancient Britain in the 1st century. Here we find a different kind of power, not born of wealth or ancient dynasties, but forged in the fires of profound injustice and the unbreakable desire for freedom. Boudica was the queen of the Iceni, a Celtic tribe located in what is now eastern England. For years, the Iceni had lived in a delicate state of peace with the occupying Roman forces. But upon the passing of her husband, King Prasutagus, the Romans ignored his will, seized the Iceni lands, and treated the royal family with shocking disrespect. What the Romans failed to realize was that they had just awakened a sleeping giant. Boudica transformed her grief and outrage into a unifying call to arms. She rallied not only her own tribe, but also neighboring factions who had suffered under the heavy taxation and harsh governance of the Roman governors. Riding a war chariot, with her long, fiery red hair blowing in the wind, she became the terrifying embodiment of Celtic fury. Boudica led a massive, unified rebellion against the greatest military machine on earth. Her tribal army descended upon the provincial capital of Camulodunum, reducing it to ashes. They marched onward to Londinium, the ancient predecessor of modern London, and Verulamium, sweeping away the Roman defenders and dismantling the symbols of imperial occupation. For a terrifying several months, it seemed that the Roman presence in Britain would be entirely erased. Eventually, the highly disciplined Roman legions, led by the governor Suetonius Paulinus, regrouped. In a final, decisive clash at the Battle of Watling Street, the superior tactics and organized formations of the Roman military overcame the sheer numbers of the Celtic warriors. Boudica's rebellion was ultimately quelled, and she passed from history into legend. Yet, her name echoes through the ages as the ultimate symbol of resistance. She was the warrior queen who made an entire empire tremble. Number 3. Cleopatra VII, the master strategist of the Nile. No list of powerful historical figures would be complete without the legendary Queen of the Nile. However, popular culture has often done a great disservice to Cleopatra, portraying her merely as a tragic romantic figure or a seductress. In historical reality, Cleopatra was one of the most brilliant, highly educated, and politically astute monarchs of the ancient world. Born into the Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt, she was the first of her Greek-speaking family to actually learn and speak the native Egyptian language, along with at least 8 other languages. This linguistic brilliance allowed her to communicate directly with her subjects and foreign diplomats, giving her a massive political advantage. When she ascended to the throne, Egypt was a vastly wealthy but politically vulnerable kingdom, constantly living under the shadow of the expanding Roman Republic. Cleopatra understood that for Egypt to survive, she had to play the ultimate game of geopolitical chess. She aligned herself with Julius Caesar, leveraging his military might to secure her throne during a fierce civil conflict. Together, they stabilized the region, and she brought a period of immense prosperity to her people. Following Caesar's passing, she formed a strategic partnership with Mark Antony, expanding Egyptian influence and creating a formidable power bloc in the eastern Mediterranean. Cleopatra managed the complex economy of Egypt perfectly, controlling the vast wealth of the Nile's agricultural output and trading networks. She funded immense public works and maintained a grand naval fleet. Her ultimate downfall, following the naval battle of Actium against Octavian, marked the end of the Hellenistic period and the beginning of the Roman Empire. But her political maneuvers kept a declining empire independent and thriving for decades longer than anyone thought possible. She was not merely a romantic legend. She was a brilliant sovereign, a supreme diplomat, and the last true pharaoh of ancient Egypt. Number 2. Hatshepsut, the architect of prosperity. Traveling further back in time, over 14 centuries before the birth of Cleopatra, we arrive at the height of Egypt's new kingdom. This was an era of unprecedented wealth and power, and at the center of it was a ruler whose achievements were so monumental that her successors actively tried to erase her from history. Her name was Hatshepsut, initially serving as the regent for her young stepson, Thutmose III. Hatshepsut recognized her own capability to lead. In an unprecedented move, she transitioned from queen regent to fully empowered pharaoh, adopting the traditional regalia, including the symbolic false beard of authority. Hatshepsut understood that true power did not solely come from military conquest, but from economic strength, grand architecture, and divine validation. She chose to focus her reign on expanding the wealth of her nation through vast trade networks. Her most famous achievement was commissioning a legendary naval expedition to the mysterious land of Punt, located somewhere along the coast of the Red Sea. Her ships returned laden with unimaginable treasures: gold, ivory, exotic animals, and precious myrrh trees, which she planted in the terraces of her magnificent temple. Speaking of temples, Hatshepsut was one of the most prolific builders in Egyptian history. She constructed hundreds of monuments throughout Upper and Lower Egypt. Her masterpiece, the mortuary temple of Djeser at Deir el-Bahari, is considered a marvel of ancient architecture, featuring breathtaking colonnaded terraces built directly into the cliffs. For over 2 decades, Hatshepsut ruled with absolute authority, presiding over an era of profound peace, artistic innovation, and economic expansion. Although later pharaohs attempted to chisel her name off her monuments to preserve the illusion of an unbroken male succession, the sheer scale of her accomplishments proved impossible to hide. Today, she is rightfully recognized as one of the most successful monarchs in the history of human civilization. Number 1. Wu Zetian, the sovereign of the Dragon Throne. We reach the pinnacle of our journey in the magnificent courts of ancient China. Throughout thousands of years of Chinese history, amidst countless dynasties, there has only been one woman to ever sit on the throne as a fully recognized, legitimate emperor. Her name was Wu Zetian. Her rise to absolute power is a masterclass in political survival, strategic brilliance, and sheer force of will. Entering the imperial court of the Tang dynasty as a low-ranking concubine, she possessed an incredible intellect and an unmatched understanding of court dynamics. Through a series of brilliant, calculated maneuvers over several decades, she navigated the highly complex and often dangerous political landscape to become the Empress Consort, then Empress Dowager, and eventually the ruling emperor of her own newly declared Zhou dynasty. Wu Zetian was not just a survivor. She was a visionary administrator. Recognizing that the old aristocratic families held too much power, she revolutionized the Chinese government. She heavily expanded the imperial examination system, meaning that government officials were chosen based on their academic merit, intelligence, and capability, rather than their noble bloodlines. This created a highly efficient, fiercely loyal, and incredibly competent bureaucracy that governed the vast empire. Under her direct rule, the Chinese empire saw its borders expand dramatically, projecting power deep into Central Asia and the Korean peninsula. She was a major patron of Buddhism, funding the construction of monumental cave temples and massive statues that still stand today as a testament to her reign. She reformed agriculture, lowered taxes on the peasantry, and oversaw a golden age of culture, literature, and economic prosperity. While historical records, often written by later male scholars who deeply resented a female ruler, attempted to paint her as entirely ruthless, modern historians view her through a different lens. She was a sovereign of unparalleled competence who stabilized a massive empire, promoted education, and shattered the ultimate glass ceiling of the ancient world. Empress Wu Zetian stands as the ultimate testament to the heights a determined mind can reach. rightfully earning her place as the most powerful woman in the ancient world. As we look back at the legacies of Zenobia, Boudica, Cleopatra, Hatshepsut, and Wuzetian, we are reminded that history is not a single narrative. These women navigated incredibly complex worlds, overcoming systemic barriers to build, defend, and lead magnificent empires. Their intellect, their bravery, and their architectural and political triumphs have outlasted the very empires they ruled. They are the eternal queens of history, and their stories continue to inspire awe and admiration thousands of years later. If you found this journey through the past as fascinating as we did, please make sure to like this video. Leave a comment below telling us which of these incredible rulers you admire the most, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the untold stories of history. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of our shared past.